SpongeBob is one of the best animated show of all time. But despite that, some minor animation mistakes managed to slip in the episodes. And in this video, we're going to share some of the mistakes that we found. Like in the episode, Company Picnic, Mr. Krabs throws a company picnic to boost the morale of his employees. During their picnic, they run into Plankton and his friends, but look at the walruses. They have yellow tusks. But in this scene here, they're the same color as the rest of their bodies. It looks like the artist completely forgot to color them. In the episode Yeti Crabs, when Yeti visit Krusty Krabs and roars in Squidward's face, we noticed a really interesting mistake. If we look at Yeti's nose, we can see it's red. But when the Yeti roars, if you look where the nose is cut off at the top of the screen, it's white. And this mistake happens twice. About 10 seconds later, its nose is white again. And then it switches back to red. Now this is a pretty big oof on the artist's part. Lost in Bikini Bottom is pretty funny episode, with the mistakes being even funnier. When Squidward and SpongeBob are walking towards Krusty Krab, Squidward says they're walking in a straight line.
Look, we're walking in a straight line.
And we get a side shot of the Krusty Krab. But the mistake is, moments later, when we get another view of Krusty Krabs, suddenly the road is curved, and we're looking at the front of the store. And that's not all. When SpongeBob is almost at work, he says he's 2 minutes early.
And I'm still 2 minutes early.
He says he's early, meaning the store hasn't opened yet, but when he gets there, there are already customers everywhere. If the store isn't open yet, then there shouldn't be any customers, but knowing Mr. Krabs, maybe he let everyone in early. Also, the customers already have food, but SpongeBob is the one that cooks everything. So, unless Mr. Krabs is back there cooking as well, then this shouldn't be possible. The episode Welcome to Binary Island takes place in an alternative version of Bikini Bottom known as Binary Bottom. Basically, this is Bikini Bottom, but everything is robotic. And in one of the scene, RoboGary and Squidbot fuse together, which leads to multiple characters getting fused together. One of them being Sandroid, aka Sandy, a giant robotic head that is very unhappy to be awoken. Eventually, this creates a giant monster that attacks Binary Bottom. And if we look closely, we can notice Mrs. Puffs on the bottom left of the screen on Sandroid's leg. But the mistake is, in the very next shot, we see Mrs. Puff again. But this time she is on the beach with 4 other characters looking quite shocked. And that's not all. Later, Robo-Rube decides to snap a photo of Sandroid. After he takes the picture, if you look closely, when his head comes back together, you'll notice his mouth disappears for a frame. Unfortunately, Sandroid doesn't like her photo being taken without consent, so she snatches Rube up a moment later, along with everyone else. And as you can see in the next scene, Rube is on Sandroid's torso, right between SpongeBob and Squidbot. But the mistake is, in the very next shot, however, we see Sandroid from a distance. And finding SpongeBob and Squidbot on Sandroid's chest is easy. But if you look between them, where Rube originally was, he's gone. This next mistake can be found in the episode The Executive Treatment. Here, Patrick wants to try out the new executive burger, which is only available for executive people. So he disguises himself as one. When we see Patrick get shoved out by a bunch of executives, right when they first start pushing him, there are 7 of them. But when they make it to the door, there are suddenly 22. And that's not all. Soon after, a similar mistake occurs, but it's the other way around. As we can see here, there are a lot of fish, but when they reach the elevator, there are only 5. The building they go into only has about 18 stories, but in the elevator, we see it takes them to the 115th floor. Now keep an eye on the chart in the background in this scene. There was a graph on the paper in the back, but when the camera cuts back to the boss after Patrick asks about a chart, it's blank. A lot of weird mistakes happen in this office, like when the boss shows them a straw, everyone has a cup in front of them, but earlier on, no one had cups at the table. And finally, we got this purple fish named Marv. He and Patrick get into a fight, and he gets kicked out after stamping Void on Patrick's head. But when Patrick reveals himself to be an imposter, Marv is back in the office. In the episode Kenny the Cat, Patrick is wearing a big bright green hat. But when SpongeBob is painting Patrick's face, his hat disappears. Now, you might think that Patrick took it off between scenes. If that was the case, then the hat should have been on the ground or somewhere around Patrick. But it isn't. It just disappeared. So this is an error. And this isn't the only mistake in the scene. Here we can notice that both SpongeBob and Patrick have sleeping bags behind them. But after the face paint, and when Patrick is about to run away, there's only one sleeping bag in the background, which is SpongeBob's. Patrick's sleeping bag magically disappeared. In the episode, Love That Squidward has a date. And no, not with himself, but with another squid. And in one of the scenes, 2 customers come up to Squidward to order, disheartened by their display of affection. Squidward tosses his book over his shoulder, and SpongeBob is kind enough to give it back. Now, if you look at the top of Squidward's register, where his sign saying "I'm on break" had been, you'll see it's disappeared. And it's not the only thing to disappear. The book that was just in SpongeBob's mouth is gone now too. This seems to be a consistent mistake throughout this episode. Also, focus on this boat right here. While the camera is focused on SpongeBob, Squidward's boat disappears. Based on the way SpongeBob landed, the boat should still be right behind him. We see that it is there again when Squidward grabs him and asks for help. Later in the episode, Squidward goes to SpongeBob's house, not knowing what to expect, and another thing disappears again. If you look at the doorframe where Squidward just pressed the doorbell, you'll see that the doorbell is now gone. He even checks the time, but when he freaks out upon seeing SpongeBob's outfit, the watch has vanished too. In the episode Karen for Spot, Karen is given the task of pet-sitting Plankton's amoeba called Spot. And to show her how to take care of a pet, SpongeBob shows up with Gary, and the mistake occurs. It's really easy to miss, but if we slow down this clip, you'll see that the outline of SpongeBob's left eye completely disappears for a few frames. And that's not all. Here we can see, normally Spot has 3 spots on his body, but in one of the scenes where Karen grabs Spot, Spot seems to be missing his spots. And also, during the close-up shot of Spot being fed the pill, you only see 2 spots. And when Karen drops him, his spots completely vanish again. And that's not all. Later, Plankton returns home and isn't too happy to see his beloved Spot inflated, which starts an argument between him and Karen. As Plankton speaks, his mouth isn't visible at first. Watch his mouth as the camera pans out in the first half of his sentence. We can see there is no mouth, despite the fact that he's talking. And it doesn't appear until he says Spot. In the episode, SpongeBob's Last Stand. A highway is going to be built on the jellyfish field, so SpongeBob and Patrick are determined to stop it. SpongeBob and Patrick try to gather a following in order to stop the construction of the superhighway. They do succeed in starting a bit of a riot, but not to stop the highway. It turns out the people want the highway built. The police come and arrest SpongeBob and Patrick, dumping them in the middle of nowhere. Now focus on SpongeBob's shoes here. He has his shoes on, and then after the time jump, they've disappeared. SpongeBob's shoes are not the only shoes to disappear either. Ben Blenny, a news reporter, is covering the jellyfish attack in Bikini Bottom. In the first scene, he is shown wearing black shoes. But in the very next scene, when he kicks the other guy for rambling, his shoes are gone. So, these were some of the mistakes we found in SpongeBob. And as always, we'll see you all in the next video.